Hello, happy Friday to everyone here. I'm excited to jump on here and have this little conversation with you. January was a big month, and something that was so crazy to me that I even just realized a few moments ago is I kind of hit this little crisis point where I started to think to myself, if someone had told me that it was going to take 2 years to go from being 20 pounds overweight into 20 pounds less and being able to track macros and have a muscular body, would I have started that day one if somebody told me it was going to take 2 years? Then I thought, if somebody had told me that it was going to take 4 years to transmit energetic information into tangible resources such as early childhood development, attachment theory, and human development and psychosomatics, would I have done it? And I thought, wow, like you're so accomplished. Look what you did. And I had this moment where I was really proud of myself. And then all of a sudden, like a dark cloud rolled in over me and said, if someone told you doing a podcast for 2 years, that at the end of the 2 years is when you would see the progress from it, you would actually see the financial reward. You would be able to buy your house. You would be able to do whatever it is that money is going to pay for that you can't do now. Would you do it? And it just like hit like a ton of bricks. Like it was hard. And I was already going through a hard phase because I had dated somebody who was all red flags and I thought they were green flags. So I was kind of like doubly shocked of like, oh my God. So at the end of the day, the end of the story is that the things that we're doing for external validation, for the accomplishment, has something to do with the inner child split of needing to achieve in order to not feel good enough. And this end of the spectrum is the doing, 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 and what most people attribute to like overly masculine energetics, where there's no release and coming home and letting gestation and letting nurture and love and care be part of your life. You're just go, 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 high achiever, perfectionist. You have to check all these boxes to feel good about yourself. But then the flip side is, even when we check the box, our mind is already going to the next thing because checking the box actually isn't enough for us to feel good about ourselves. So we're like constantly on this hamster wheel. And the other end of not feeling good enough, when we've internalized, instead of created external validation, when we've internalized the feelings and then we add anger on top of it, and then we turn the anger in on ourselves, our DNA expresses itself in disease and our thoughts become toxic. And that constant molecular environment of molecules of emotion that are negative are constantly causing the DNA to express itself in dis-ease. And I've been listening to different doctors recently about attachment theory and about anxiety, and the DNA actually has chemicals that are inflammatory. And I was like, oh, like there's actually a definition to how the DNA is expressing itself in dis-ease. There are actual chemicals that are secreting that are causing the inflammation in the body. So I wanted to share that with you because this last month of January has been so challenging because my body's kind of been a wreck since November, since I started dating, trying to figure that out, trying to put out the content for the podcast, editing, figuring out my setup with my physical body to be doing these long hours of editing. It's been a lot. And I recalibrated and I'm in the integration process of another aspect of my inner child. And it's been really incredible because part of the integration was having a pretty deep conversation with my brother and my mom. Excuse me. So it's like, whoa, my inner child like got to come out and express herself and be heard, be validated, be respected. And that was huge because it was a part of my existence that has been suppressed. And what's happening on the flip side is I'm having less social anxiety. So I forced myself to go to a sound bath healing last Friday. I scheduled it, that I was feeling really nervous about it. And then I felt so much better after. And I'm and I'm like, oh, I have 4.5 more hours until I get to see my friend. Where in the past, I'm like, oh my God, it's 4 more hours. Am I going to be able to get everything done? So the outcomes have been very tangible in my body with this inner child integration that I've come to, and I feel like I'm going to be able to let go of some of the achieving mentality. And this achieving mentality goes into our diet and exercise, because we put so much pressure on the diet, on whatever strategy we're doing, so much pressure on the scale, so much pressure if we're, checking the boxes, if we're in a challenge or something, so much pressure on the outcome of that dream body that it just like snuffs our light. It takes us out. It causes exhaustion, fatigue. The mental overload causes us to reach for food to feel better and get some sort of relief. And so I want you to really think about these things of like, where do you go to the extreme of achievement, and where do you go to the extreme of totally disconnected, numbing out, and feeling terrible emotionally, mentally, or actually physically in your body? Because these end of the spectrum of filling the void of not enough with overactivity on the external, and like your autoimmune system is doing crazy stuff to your body when you get that sick, and getting that sick from the thoughts and the disconnection that we have from ourself. Like our mind body has to be connected if it's going to function properly. And the disconnection comes from those early childhood events where something terrible happens to us, or we have a terrible feeling. And in our little child mind, we think that feeling or that bad thing happened as our fault. So then we go up into our mind, we try to strategize, how can I prevent this from happening again? And the deeper it hurts and the more meaning we give it, the more it gets suppresses through the mind. So you can think of it like this. The thing happens, you're 7 years old, you feel bad. That's in the front of your brain. You know it, right? But now it's, how do I prevent this from happening again? So it goes in the subconscious mind where there's patterns. So what do I need to do? How do I need to behave to make sure this doesn't happen again? We can repress it even further into the unconscious mind, where we have internalized it so much as we are this feeling. We are bad because of this feeling. And then we make that our identity. So whatever bad feeling, sad, now you identify as sad, and then you feel bad and judge yourself for being sad. Then you might get angry for being sad. Then you might blame someone for making you sad. Then you might feel so terrible about who you are because you're sad. And when it gets into that level, that's when it really starts to affect your body in a negative way. And so the more we can reconnect with these ends of the spectrum, where am I overachieving to make up for this feeling? And where is my body getting sick and run down because of this feeling? That's going to help us merge those two ends and create this union within our mind and body. So I want to share with you part of how you can do this month on the podcast. So the intention for the podcast is that, and the podcast community, is that the 2 episodes a week that I'm putting out, you would listen to, you would try to work some of the concepts into your life, and then you would come to the community call and be like, okay, the thing that you said on episode such and such, I did that. I had this feeling feel better. I had this result. I didn't reach for my refrigerator at 10 o'clock at night. I got a cup of tea instead. Totally worked. Now I'm wondering, what's the next step? Or how do I apply this to when the donuts come into the office and I can't not eat just one? I have to eat 3. So we can have a conversation of like, how do these energetic principles that I have come to do for myself, how can they help you keep evolving? So that's my intention for everyone here. And so I want to share with you what I'm going to be talking about in February. So the next 8 episodes is what I'll go over really quickly. I'm behind. I took a week off of recording because I was on my cycle and I wanted to take some time to integrate the healing that I had around my inner child. So I pressed pause on the podcast. And so the next episode is Awake, and I'm going to be talking about what it's like to have the awareness that beyond the matrix, beyond what the world has spelled out for us, the narrative that is the world structures, The Bible says, be in the world, not of it. So the world is a completely separate system that causes us to think, feel, and behave to whatever the world standard is at that time. And we're splitting right now the energy. We're in a new energy. We're in the age of Aquarius. We're no longer in the age of Pisces. Astrophysicists have said that we have synchronized frequencies from other parts of the solar system every 5,000 years. We're in one. But we're also in a mega cycle because of how our universe has moved around the galactic center. That's like a 25,000 year cycle. So we're in a big, big energetic cycle. And what that means is what was old, just like when the lights turn on with your own healing, what was old can no longer exist. And usually the old things try to maintain their power and control. So that's why we're seeing so much craziness within society right now. So we're going to talk about awake. I'm going to talk about attachment theory and self-love, and how you can really look at attachment theory as a way for you to connect your mind body so that the habit change for your health and your aesthetic can become easier. I'm going to talk about the body energetics coding system and self-image. Your body parts that you don't like are representing three things. They have a metaphysical meaning that's basically like your soul expansion, what you may have come here to work on in this lifetime. They represent your memories, and they represent the meanings you have made about yourself because of your feelings. So when we look at the body parts and we break down the meanings of these body parts, then we can actually kind of have this entrance into connecting our mind body. And as someone who has really, really, really repressed the inner child, this was a way for me to give language to how I was feeling in my body, because I was so disconnected. I actually didn't have words to describe how bad I felt. So this is really, really helpful. Especially if you're super disconnected like I was. The rule of three. This is so fascinating. For me, in a broken home, family scares the shit out of me. I'm uncomfortable around family. I'm uncomfortable around the idea of family. It is what it is. I've been working on it. When I got the belief system that we are our own inner holy family, that we have a divine father of our mind, a divine mother of our heart, and that we are the child, we are the one that gets to take those thoughts and feelings and create something, I was like, oh my God, of course I relate to this as a Trinity. So this is part of my family healing. And those three parts of the Trinity carry over into the laws of manifestation, into the quantum physics of subatomic particles. And when you understand this, you're like, holy shit, this is how I'm actually creating my reality in the energetic field through my thoughts, feelings, and my behavior. Mind blowing. And this concept, when you have this mindset about how the world works and how energy works, you feel so empowered that the things that are causing you to sabotage your health and your aesthetic, those things are going to become less and less because you understand how they're functioning and you work with them as a tool, just like a piece of equipment at the gym. We're also going to talk about 4 different 3x4 frameworks. We have 3 minds: conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. We have 4 bodies: mental body, emotional body, physical body, and the spiritual body. But the spiritual body actually goes on and on and on. So we have billions of bodies with different energetic layers of the universe. What I did is I created a mindset framework for you to actually work on these different bodies. So the mental body and the root cause of your pain, the emotional body and the reactions and meanings you've given your feelings, the physical manifestation, how it's showing up on a spectrum of health to unhealthy, and how to modify your behavior to make those changes happen in your favor. And then finally, working with the energetic body of balancing your energy, tapping into your eternal wisdom through your spiritual bodies, through breathing and breath work. How amazing is that? And then finally, I'm going to have an episode entirely about how we connect the earth body and the light body, all about connection. we can connect with our inner child, when we can get our adult person to connect with our inner child, we connect the mind body system. Anxiety goes away, depression goes away. You're able to handle these alarm systems that go off in your body with a rational, divine, masculine mindset. You're able to interpret the feelings you have about yourself with a loving, nurturing, divine mother. And you're able to feel brave and empowered and wise as that child to move forward in your life. So check, earth body's done, right? The light body, when we connect with the light body, we're connecting to the larger aspects of ourself. If you listen to spiritual stuff like Esther Hicks channeling Abraham, or listening to Dolores Cannon talk about the channeling that she receives from her clients when they are under hypnosis, there is a larger part of us. We are only a fraction. We're like 0.00001% here. That's all the material universe is. It's 99.999 whatever. So when we connect with our light body, we're able to connect with the larger part of ourselves. We get to go beyond this physical body. When you have that connection, it's called herogamic union. And that is the true connection of being physically and energetically connected within the two universes, the physical and the non-physical. Those are the episodes for this month. I would love for you to come to the group coaching call. I changed them from the last Saturday to the third Saturday. So the third Saturday of every month at 1 p.m. Pacific time is when we're going to get together so that we can talk about all these things. And I'm very excited about it. And I hope you will be there. I'll be better about posting podcast episodes into this group and jumping in here to have some discussions, because this stuff is what changed my life. This is what drives me. This is what I've been wanting to express for so long. And so I just would love to have conversations with you all about these concepts. Okay, talk to you later.